strange clouds behaving oddly. To start things off, this strange AR-looking clip features something a little out of the ordinary. These people, filming outside in a parking lot, capture what looks eerily like a cloud, crossing the pavement at an insane speed for the weird air formation.
What the world? But I ain't never seen you seen one of those before. Run up on it. No, I'm not running. You run up on it.
It doesn't look natural and doesn't move like any other cloud, leading the person filming it to continue to watch it, entirely captivated by the condensation. It looks like something that's been created, and it's still not entirely clear what they caught, if they caught something at all.
Deaths on Northdown Road, Solihull, England. When Reneem Uday married Jambaz Tareen, she didn't envision her tragic end, but she got a hint. Jambaz is quoted to have said, "In our culture, we don't have divorce. The day you leave, I'll kill you." Reneem didn't plan to leave, but when she discovered the web of lies expertly weaved by Jambaz, she had no other options. The man she'd married already had a wife and 3 kids back in Afghanistan and had craftily kept this information a secret from Reneem. Jambaz Tareen wasn't just married with 3 kids. His wife back in Afghanistan is pregnant with their 4th child at the time Reneem discovered his secret. The video was captured on the day Reneem and her mother, Keola Salim, were stabbed to death in front of Keola's home. They'd gone to a local shisha bar that night, hoping to enjoy themselves when Jambaz turns up out of the blue to confront Reneem. The pretty young lady you see on screen is Reneem, and right behind her is her monster of an ex-husband. Watch as they get into an argument, with Jambaz said to be hurling abuse at Reneem. Keola intervenes at some point, getting right in Jambaz's face before authorities escort the young man out of the premise. Jambaz Tareen is caught on CCTV camera not long after this exchange at the local shisha bar. He's changed his clothes and looks completely different now while at a chicken shop. Later that night, he'll stab Reneem right outside her mother's home. He was apprehended by the police and sentenced to 32 years in prison.
Catman of Greenock. More local lore, this time in Scotland. In a sleepy town off the coast near Glasgow, a rat-eating catman stalked the alleyways. He's been known as the Greenock Catman and has been a mystery for ages. Nobody knows his name, and there are plenty of theories about how he came to be. In fact, his existence was only confirmed in 2007 after this shake cell phone footage of him crawling around near a dumpster eating a dead rat showed up. The man looks like he's covered in dirt as he gives the cameraman a thumbs up before taking a bite out of this rat meal. The footage goes on for about a minute. The person recording tried to communicate briefly before things quieted down and the clip ended. This is one urban legend that ended up being a little less.
Yeah, good man.
Hit and run away. No one wants things to go wrong in their day-to-day job. If you're a criminal, your day-to-day might look slightly different from everyone else, but the fact remains, no one wants to have a bad day at work. Unfortunately, when the stakes are high in your line of work, so is what's at risk.
Hey, get sticks over here with us now. We need sticks with us. Hey, go get sticks, Mark. Get my trunk, get my trunk. Stop! In the trunk. Put your hands up! Hands up! Put it in park! Now!
After a few high-stakes moments, this body cam shows the moments where the police respond to a dangerous driver. The pursuit doesn't go on for long. How do you escape when several guns are trained on you? The answer is, you don't.
Bring the people back up.
This clip is a little rough. While they subdue the Oklahoma woman, the officer cuffs her, shouting obscenities at her as he pins her to the ground. There are cops everywhere.
Take her and put her in the car.
There are far more officers than there were suspects. The road is littered with SUVs as they apprehend her.
Right, 220 headquarters.
Do you have anything on you that's going to poke or stick me?
I need at least 2 or 3 inches. Help me shut this intersection off, please.
I don't know.
Meanwhile, the rest of the force is left to deal with the wreckage. This was not a victimless crime. The woman in custody allegedly rammed into a police car, hit a pedestrian, and then rammed through a fence into someone's yard. The woman, 36-year-old Courtney Ray Jordan, was fleeing from officers after being confronted about a reported hit and run. To think all this had been caused because one criminal decided she didn't want to go down for a crime.
Okay, you okay, bud?
Just take care of him.
Okay, sit tight. You okay? You see what happened?
At this point, an entire road is shut down due to the multi-vehicle stop, and people are left just sitting around and waiting for what's next.
We were chasing that lady that's in the backyard of that house right there.
Painful view at Robb Elementary, Uvalde, Texas. Whether you were there or not, the pain of the Uvalde school shooting remains fresh. It was on the 12th of July, 2022, around noon, when the vehicle you see at the top of the screen roars into view, raising a plume of dust. It goes off-road and security officers move quickly to offer support to the driver, but their reaction moments later is the beginning of what will go down as one of the worst shooting events ever recorded. The character, armed and dangerous, makes his way from the wreck. He ambles along the ridgeline, making his way towards the school unperturbed. His name is Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old former student who had walked the halls of Robb Elementary in the past. Now inside, Salvador makes his way through the hallway of Robb Elementary and soon lets off a salvo of bullets while a child watches from the other direction. Watch this heart-stopping moment as a child comes into view. You might even let out a sigh of relief when you notice that the shooter is shooting in a different direction and the child has a small window to escape to safety, which he promptly took. A barrage of gunshots can be heard piercing the peace of the now empty hallway. Time continues to tick away and there's no sign that anyone is coming to aid the kids locked within these walls. The shooting doesn't stop. The shooter only takes intermittent breaks and goes back to shooting once again. Just when you think it's never going to end, the cavalry finally arrives, rushing through the hallway towards the overwhelming gunshot sounds. His firepower is too much for the cops, who are seen running back quickly to take up positions at the entrance, waiting for that inevitable return. When he doesn't come, they go on the offensive once more. You can still hear the shooter going at it while the cops try to get their act together. For over an hour, these cops couldn't stop Salvador.
Terrifying guest on a late-night train says hello. Being alone on a train shouldn't be nightmare fuel, don't you think? Imagine being on your way home in the middle of the night when someone dressed like a sleep paralysis demon walks in and waves at you. It's enough to terrify anyone. Don't you think this would make you go and find somewhere else to sit? This clip might be short, but the range of emotion that goes across these people as they see the creepy masked individual to the point that they're waved at, well, if they didn't immediately move to get away, this is certainly not the best place to stop and make friends.
The case of Missy Beavers, Midlothian, Texas. Missy Beavers was a fitness instructor who used the parking lot of Creekside Church of Christ for fitness classes. Due to a heavy thunderstorm on the 17th of April 2016, Missy planned to have her fitness class inside the church instead of the parking lot. But when the first student arrived on the morning of April 18th, she found Missy's body in the church. Missy didn't make it to the hospital. What happened to her? Who murdered the woman inside a church? All fingers point to the figure in this security footage. The gender's unknown, but the figure is clad fully in tactical gear, wearing what appears to be a SWAT uniform while walking around the church where Missy Beavers met her end. The figure is wielding what looks like a hammer while ambling aimlessly through the church. At one point towards the end, you can see the figure smashing a door or glass with the hammer. The same figure is captured outside the church in a strange car that became one of the major pieces of evidence in the investigation. The vehicle, loitering around a nearby gun store, has the occupant mostly hidden from view. It circled the parking lot slowly a few hours before Missy was murdered. Looking closely at the back bumper, you'll see why the car was the first thing that caught the eye of the cops. There's a distinct emblem on it, but the police have been unable to identify it. While the strange person walking around in the church is believed to be the driver, the police are still unable to identify and make arrests.
Fake ballistic missile alarm, Honolulu, Hawaii. These people live in a tropical wonderland, but even the islands aren't all they're cracked up to be. Most people never have to live through a nightmare scenario like this, though the idea of being trapped on an island when you do, absolutely chilling. These ballistic missile alarms went off on a random day in Honolulu, sending people into a massive panic.
A missile may impact on land or sea within minutes. This is not a drill.
Believing that they were about to be hit by a gigantic ballistic missile, people sprung into action. They were searching for cover, jumping into manholes to bunkers, and generally terrified for their lives. All because someone working at the emergency management agency pushed the wrong button. Twice. There was almost no distinction between this fake alarm and a real one because it wasn't just some test. People really thought their lives were in danger. And wouldn't you? Most of us grow up with emergency alert tests, worried that eventually it won't just be a test. I'd probably have a hard time trusting them after this.
Flooded bunker full of gas masks. Lost History and his crew wade through this partially flooded old bunker, continuing the trend of war era vaults. It's trusted and filled with water, but that's not all. There are dozens of abandoned gas masks amid the old brick and broken walls, rusted metal, and mold. It's scary to imagine that anyone was in this bunker when the water flooded in, but more likely, everything was dumped down there and a pipe burst long after.
Carjacker in broad daylight. Veering away from the supernatural, sometimes the scariest stuff is real. This clip catches what appears to be a carjacking in broad daylight. The vehicle owner didn't lock their car properly, running into the gas station without a care in the world, and the thief, as if it was easier than anything else, walks right into the front seat and begins their work. Unfortunately for him and the person inside, there was someone inside the car, which means someone was there to witness the beginnings of the car thievery. Quickly, the side door opens and the person in the back seat scrambles out of the car. It's unclear how much of an imminent threat the carjacker posed to the person, outside of being a carjacker, but something got them moving and fast. Karen Hogs parking space. Some people can't seem to mind their own business. This woman in particular has decided to claim the parking lot for herself. Standing in front of the car filming, this woman approaches the side of the car with a saccharine wish that they're having a nice Christmas. The people filming in particular do not want to engage and simply ask her to move out of the spot.
Are you guys having a nice Christmas?
Yeah. Once you leave, we'll have a wonderful
But that's
Christmas.
not. You know
but
what?
you don't
hold space like that.
You don't stand in a space and block other people from parking. We got here first.
The video doesn't provide much context, but the woman decides, in the spirit of Christmas and as an act of kindness, to give up the spot she was boldly claiming.
You know what, to set an example of kindness, I'm going to give you guys the space.
Why are you entitled to the space?
Merry Christmas.
Why are you entitled?
The duo inside the car decided to pull up, but this seems like the unlikely ending to what was probably a long, drawn-out Karen experience in the wild.
Entitled. Explain to me why you're entitled.
It doesn't work that way. And you girls, I hope,
explain to me why you're entitled to this space.
I hope you have the peace in your heart.
Same to you.
Abandoned farm gold compound. Urban explorers find some terrifying things, but Exploring with Evan explored a frightening old cult compound. Though this is a multi-part series, they found some scary stuff. Of note, there was a workshop he showed where there was an abandoned spike lying amid rat bones and a jar filled with bones. This feels less like cult behavior and more like wannabe witchcraft. While exploring an old house, he found years of decay and rot, followed by what looked like a pool of fresh blood and what looked like a femur bone. Most of the users in the comments were terrified, as he felt the need to touch the blood and mess with the stone. Whether this was staged or genuinely a weird happenstance, I'm not sure if I'd be able to make it through with the bad vibes this place in general was giving off. Would you walk through an old cult stomping ground like this guy did? Fast and fiery. The first frame shows this car take a turn at a very high speed. He cuts too loose to the curb and bounces off like a ping pong ball. The crash comes after this, as the car barrels into a home and, worse still, bursts a residential gas main which led to the fire. Watch the fire, which was just a flame, blossom into an inferno, confirming that the gas main is feeding it. The agonizing sound of crying kids and the voices of people trying to help all rend the heart. Good news is the occupants of the vehicle are all safe, but we can't see the same for the car or the house.
We're holding the fire in check. Having the gas burn is the safest for everyone.
Why aren't they trying to put out the fire, you ask? Since the broken gas main feeding it hasn't been turned off, it would be unsafe to try and put out the fire. The last footage. Ealing, London. This is the last footage of Miss Anna Jedrzejkowiak before her ex-boyfriend, Dennis Akbamade, murdered and tried to decapitate her right in front of her new boyfriend. That's quite disturbing, but not as disturbing as how premeditated and exerting the murder is. Anna moved away at the end of the relationship in the hopes of getting away from the stalker. Yet Dennis lived in Newport, South Wales at the time, traveled 140 miles to inflict 40 stabs on his ex-girlfriend. Anna, called Anya by her friends, had just finished her shift at the restaurant where she worked and was headed home with her co-worker Jack Mescal, who's believed to be her new love interest. Behind them, trailing and waiting for the perfect time to strike, is Dennis in a hoodie and balaclava mask. He ambushed them, stabbed Anna about 40 times, then tried to decapitate her with a saw. Dennis had the weirdest cover story for this murder. He maintains that he's a sword performer, but his trick had gone horribly wrong. He's been jailed for life.
Late night train malfunction. Have you ever felt creeping dead? Like something bad going to happen? This TikToker turned on his phone when the train stopped suddenly. He looks uncomfortable, but his filming catches the moment when the camera goes out. No one knew why the train stopped or what was happening, but they were suddenly escorted out without explanation.
It's fine. As soon as I can get away, about 5 minutes.
Whether this was just a series of terrifying late-night inconveniences or something more was happening, we can't be sure. But I'm pretty sure abandoned car in the middle of nowhere is high on the horror movie no-go list.
The Horseshoe Murderer, London. It was supposed to be a happy evening on July 30th, 2022. Arsenal had just beaten Sevilla at the Emirates, and Thomas Parker, who had gone to see the game with his brother, was aboard a train, heading back to their home. A group of friends on the train, led by a certain Carjacker Virgo, were playing loud music on their boombox. Thomas's brother asked them to turn down their music, and an argument ensued, which Virgo recorded as asking Thomas, "Do you want to die tonight?" It should have all ended on the train after other passengers helped to stop the altercation that developed, but it didn't end there. The video on screen shows Carjacker Virgo on the train platform as he stood with a horseshoe in his hand. Another altercation had occurred on the platform, and when Thomas's back turned, Virgo slammed the horseshoe into the base of his head, knocking him down. Nothing could be done to save the 24-year-old Thomas Parker, who died despite the intervention of the paramedics. Terrifying Costco evacuation. What happens when your routine grocery trip turns into an emergency situation? These Colorado residents quickly learned what that meant as the fire marshal interrupted what could have otherwise been a very typical day.
Go! Evacuate!
We're evacuating from the back of the train.
Okay, everybody head east. Go towards 36. Move now, leave your stuff, go! The fire's at the back, go!
He tells them time and time again to evacuate. The fire is behind the store and there's no time. They're to head east, told there's no time to grab their things. It's clear even just by the tone of his voice that this is a life or death situation. If you look at the outside of the beginning of the clip, there's no question.
Everybody evacuate the store now!
We're evacuating.
Get out of the store, head eastbound, leave your stuff, go now! Evacuate Costco now! Head eastbound, leave your carts, go! Everybody evacuate, get out of the store now! Go eastbound! Head towards Denver! Head towards Denver! Let's evacuate now, leave whatever you're doing, go! Fire out back! Fire out back!
Let's go!
Drop whatever you're doing, head east! Boulder County Sheriff's Office, evacuate now!
The sky is dark and the air is thick with smoke. There's clearly no time to lose. People run behind the officer, desperately trying to escape.
Let's go!
Drop whatever you're doing, head east! Boulder County Sheriff's Office, evacuate now!
A woman is waiting at the door, backed into a terrifying corner with a language barrier.
No habla.
Don't have a car.
You don't have a car?
No.
Get in.
When she understands that, she reveals that she doesn't have a car. So while everyone else was frantically trying to escape, this worker had no way out. She was trapped. Luckily, she caught the officer on his way out and he ushered her over to the squad car. It was a close call, but can you imagine being at the back of the Costco at that time? As everyone trips over each other, it's the opposite of Black Friday. It could have quickly become a stampede, causing much more significant problems in its wake.
Everybody evacuate! Get out of the store now! Go eastbound! Head towards Denver! Head towards Denver!
Helltown, Ohio. Helltown, Ohio has become something of a legend. Even the name is a nickname given to the abandoned haunt. Formerly known as Boston, Ohio, this town is iconic because it was abandoned for a tragic reason. In the 1970s, this once idyllic small town was the unlucky victim to a nationwide concern of shrinking forest land and was then forced out due to eminent domain laws.
We are here at Helltown, Ohio.
This clip follows as two men visit an old building covered in graffiti, both standard and strange, before descending to the basement.
Oh, the steps to the basement.
They explore a bit longer before going to the woods for more graffiti footage.
Yeah, I'm getting out of there.
It's not as exciting as the title Hell at Helltown, Ohio suggests, as these men don't see anything of note while shuffling around in the dark. Yet somehow the legends surrounding this real-life ghost town persist. After the area was vacated, the rumors began between a toxic chemical spill and the town's vanished, hellish aura. Supposedly by 2016, the town was demolished for the national park. However, it seems it's still a popular urban explorer hunt as YouTubers continue to prowl through the overgrown space, whether there's actually a mutant python, crybaby bridges, or mass human sacrifice scenes.
We had creepy noises past that. We had branches getting thrown at us in the woods trail.
Historic waves crashing a party. Keohukona, Hawaii. Sometimes, though, the danger is very real and very present. On one of the most beautiful places on Earth, the waves can get larger than buildings and take over whole neighborhoods. There's only so much space to go inland if you're on an island. These people stood around as they watched the waves crash over the seawalls, ruining parties and events left and right. Otherwise, the day is bright and sunny. They might have thought they had enough time to get to their event. Mother Nature, however, seemed to have another idea.
Terrifying, never-ending subway tunnel. Every subway station is going to be different, but the one on 191st Street in New York is the deepest, which automatically makes it a bit more terrifying. The hallway seems to be never-ending, covered floor to ceiling in art and graffiti that gives it a terrifying, unreal quality. YouTuber Action Kid continues his descent deeper and deeper down, like something out of a video game. The noise of people around them is ghostly, echoing a few different electrical noises, voices, and shuffling through the hall. As if you don't already feel like you're walking through a twilight zone, eventually the doors open up and it lets out into its own, very normal-looking subway station. It seems like the station is unlike dozens of others, as if they hadn't just walked through one of the most surreal locations ever caught on camera. Burning train from hell. I think if this train pulled up to your station, you'd probably wait for it to go through. The video is aptly named Train to Hell because it looks like it's brought the underworld. In what seems to be an active, running train station, this broken-off train sits burning and abandoned but still driving on. How do you think you'd react to a sight like this? Would you be quick enough to film the moment, to show other people, or would you let it be a terrifying, unverifiable story? Eventually the train speeds off, taking the flames with it.
Understairs Discovery. When you buy a house, you're also purchasing its history and its secrets. TikTok user Uncharted Beyond felt compelled to look in the dusty crawl space beneath her stairs, which revealed a terrifying lockbox.
And then under the stairs, I don't know why I was so compelled to look, but I found this. I have no idea what this is.
It's ancient, rusted, and covered in 100 years of dust and grime. It's attached to the wall, but otherwise very little identifying information could be pulled from its appearance.
It appears to be super old, and it's completely attached and has a latch.
While it's creepy looking now, the home is old, and many commentators speculate it was once used to hide alcohol. Not exactly the kind of thing you expect to see under the stairs, but it's probably way less terrifying than some others on the list today.
Car burglars casually breaking into cars. The three thieves you see on the screen were captured on Wood Street, Oakland. They look organized. One pops the window. Can you identify him? Black hoodie, blue pants. He bursts the window while the others rustle through the cars, picking up whatever they can. They did this to about 20 cars in this neighborhood alone. On the ground, you see the shattered glass on the floor, remnants of their late-night soiree.
It's very frustrated in this area right now.
They didn't limit their unholy activity to the Wood Street area. They also extended their dark arts to 2 blocks of neighboring Marina district, where 17 cars had their windows smashed the same way it was done on Wood Street. A new pastime in the neighborhood: burglary tourism. Burglary tourism is a thing, and in this video the reporter reports about an increase in residential burglary linked to a South American theft ring. These are professional criminals who work with heavy-duty tools. Watch the hooded guys cart away their spoils, both hands filled with some of the things that they've stolen from this home. According to authorities, these thieves first survey the home that they're hoping to steal from and return when no one is home.
Most of the time, the reason why they're going in through there is because people don't install alarm system on their seconds.
One of the arrested individuals is a Colombian, confirming links to the South American ring. Watch the man in the video demonstrate the way some of these criminals break into a safe. He also confirms a lot of their customers have fallen victim to the crime.
If a safe hasn't been tested at Underwriter's Laboratory and passed the very basic test, don't even consider it.
The Nashville Case, Nashville, Tennessee. When you see police officers storming the hallways of an elementary school, you already know something is not right. This is Covenant School, a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee, where a shooter had entered earlier. The shooter was a former student of Covenant School, drove into premises armed heavily with 3 firearms, 2 rifles and a pistol. The shooter arrived at the school at around 9:54 a.m., parked in the lot, and sent an Instagram message to a friend stating that she plans to die on that day. A few minutes after 10 a.m., they make their way into the building by shooting out a side door. You can see the shooter making their way into the building. Reports shown that the individual is identified as Audrey Elizabeth Hale. Watch as the shooter shoulders the weapon, going through the hallway, seeking targets. The police received an active shooter report a few minutes past 10 and responded immediately. The moment the officers arrive, a teacher is there to explain the situation of things.
The kids are all locked down, but we have 2 kids that we don't know where they are.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
While all the kids have been secured and locked in a safe place, there are 2 kids that the teachers cannot locate yet. They breach quickly and commence a search for the shooter.
Yeah.
Into my window, someone, they were upstairs.
Hey. Give me 3. Let's get 3.
All the way down this hall, listen, it's Fellowship Hall. The end of this hall is Fellowship Hall. They just said they heard gunshots down there, and then upstairs are a bunch of kids.
Let's go. I need 3.
One more!
Let's go!
The officers of the Metro Police tear through classrooms and bathrooms, announcing themselves each time in keeping with the rules of the trade. It's a high-octane situation, and with each door they open, you fear what's to come. The alarms are going crazy as the officers move from one room to the next, clearing the ground floor quickly.
Bathroom, small bathroom. Clear.
Next. Let's go. Door. With me.
Hold the door.
Next.
Like this.
Open it. I got it.
Bathroom.
Let's go.
Come out. We're going more right now. Let's go.
Just move right. Hover left. Take this with me. Take this. No, that's locked. Take this door. Take this door. Take it. It's upstairs. It sounds like it's upstairs. Go.
As they move up the stairs to the second floor, you can hear the gunshots from the shooter's gun going off. Andre was an illustrator and graphics designer before this incident, and there's reports that they'd lost a dear friend and possible romantic partner, which many believe set them off. Upstairs, the cops find and shoot Audrey, who still had a weapon in their hand. The move towards the second floor can be seen from a different angle. Watch as the officers breach the building, make their way to the second floor to end what was a terrible day in Nashville. 3 children and 3 adults died that day in Covenant School. Here are photos of the weapons the shooter was armed with.
Dogman, werewolf, caught on camera. People capture all sorts of strange, terrifying clips out in the woods. They're all over the internet, claiming to have seen something extraordinary or scary. This clip, however, is difficult to explain or even understand. Through the trees, the man who originally recorded the video seems to catch what looks at first to be a large black bear. However, the way he moves, you can see a hand grabbing the trees as it looks at the camera. They claim to have found a dogman of sorts or a werewolf, though it's daytime when the video was filmed. This is, however, some of the most explicit footage found of a supposed dogman that exists out there. The original clip is shaky and difficult to make out, but what do you think? Cryptid or cleverly shot hoax? Reversing through the wall of a garage. This is the stuff of nightmares, so buckle up. While parking backward in a car park, this woman makes a dangerous mistake. She backs up, slowly at first, seemingly mistakenly punching the reverse. Suddenly, the car speeds through the wall barriers, pushing them and leaving them dangling over the side. It's a few levels up, but the person in the car clearly misjudged how quickly they were moving. Thankfully, people come to their rescue and the car is stopped in time to pull the woman out. The car would have been absolute toast, so thankfully, she was able to jam with only 2 of the tires dangling up over the street below.
A fire outbreak and more. The smoke and fire you see on the screen, as thick and scary as it may look, doesn't tell the whole story. The firefighters were working to contain a much smaller fire while they sought the source of it. There was an explosion which was so powerful it shook the neighborhood. Listening to the firefighter on the phone calling for help, you get a much more chilling idea of what went on in the moment of the explosion.
Engine 9, go with your mayday.
Explosion! I have 2 down firefighters in front of truck 9.
The explosion is being linked to a butane honey oil maker housed in the building. Firefighters were injured while the fire you see continues to eat the house and rise above the building.
Ninjin, caught on camera. This strange, grainy clip of a ninjin is astounding as it seems legitimate enough to cause alarm. A gigantic, almost humanoid creature was found in immense depths of the Arctic Ocean. Believed to be a ninjin. Ninjins in Japanese folklore are aquatic, humanoid whale-like creatures that inhabit subarctic oceans. It's commonly considered a cryptid, mysterious enough that its survival or entire existence is substantiated. Now, as you can see in this video, a giant human-like figure is seen floating through the dark depths throughout quite some time, as if it's lumbering, much like someone that was humanoid-shaped in Arctic waters might. Rome's terrifying underground. In ancient cities, there are plenty of dark, creepy things. YouTube channel Bino went down to an underground railway in Rome. It was late, or maybe just an unpopular area, but there wasn't another person anywhere in sight. The train goes off and one person stays behind to film. Everything creaks and groans, sounding dangerous and anxious, and eventually the train comes back. The person filming climbs on this time, sitting on the rackety dark train in the middle of the night. It picks up speed and you get a better look at the actual train, with yellowed lights, dirtied fixtures, and more. At the next stop, the trains power back up from a stop, going down creepy, cavernous tunnels. The station is up and running, but it feels like something in an old horror film.
French underground bunker. Underground bunkers are a treasure trove of terrifying, disturbing sights. This World War II bunker in France is enough to give anyone the creeps. No matter how good you think you are with all things that go bump in the night, user lost history has found something deeply unsettling, frozen in time beneath the ground. Cut wires, graffiti with arrows directing around, old magazine cutouts. Obviously this didn't get used for as long as they prepared for it, but the way it's frozen in time is a haunting reminder that they were built for the long haul. Smash and grab robbers, West Covina, California. Imagine if your local mall was targeted. How would that feel? The West Covina Mall, in 2022, was treated to exactly that scenario. Quiet little California city, one of the safest in the country, subject to something as destructive as a handful of robbers in a jewelry store. Not only did they break into a mall overnight, but the jewelry store was left in shambles as they left. I'm not sure I'd feel quite as safe here, knowing you might be just around the corner from a dangerous mugging. This feels like Los Angeles behavior, not a city that's been growing in prestige like West Covina, widely known as an ideal place to raise a family. Maybe it's better to rethink that. At least if you're a big mall goer, this might not be the best place to go.
Ridgecrest, CA Google Maps. There are plenty of difficult to explain things on Google Maps, but IKEA Power has found something kind of terrifying at what seemingly looks like the middle of the desert. These massive impressions in the sand, one of which looks to be filled with water, don't look natural. This is on a high-security military base, and other commentators say looking at the whole city of Ridgecrest, California has tons of strange, questionable sights. They look distinctly like spaceships or something highly classified that probably shouldn't be able to be seen by satellite footage. But what do you think? What are we looking at here?
Credit card skimmer scammer, Sunnyvale, California. In such a nice area, the last thing you want to expect is someone scamming you. These officers caught one such situation, having nailed an alleged credit card skimming suspect. The clip opens up with a few officers crowding a gas pump, checking for signs of tampering. As they look, the suspect in question is handcuffed, sitting on the curb. Eventually, they take the man to the police car, patting him down and checking for weapons. These skimmers could be taking hundreds from their unsuspecting victims and serve as proof that even in a nice place like Sunnyvale, people don't always have your best interest in heart. Murder suspect boxed in at a motel. The police cars you see lining and blocking that turn at Lincoln Boulevard is only a tip of the iceberg. Watch clearly to see more LAPD cars surrounding the Lincoln Inn Motel where a murderer is said to be hiding. Can you see all the police cars as a wider view of the screen is shown? Look closely on all sides. The cops have completely boxed the motel in, and the murderer, whoever he is, has no way to escape. According to the narrator, the police got word that a murderer was hiding at the hotel, and what's more, SWAT is on their way to the venue as well.